Welcome to the video lectures on analog electronics. Myself, Dr. Shoumik Poddar, Assistant Professor, Electronics and Communication Engineering Department, Guru Nanak Institute of Technology. The course code is EE303, contact is 3 and credit is 3. Today I will discuss the part 3 of module 3. Before going to detailed discussion of this part 3 of module 3, let us have a look into the lesson plan. The topics to be discussed are transistor amplifier, into which the several subtopics as included: different coupling techniques, RC coupled amplifier, functions of all components, derivation of voltage gain, current gain, input impedance and output impedance, high frequency model of transistors, hybrid pi model, frequency response characteristics, expression for lower and upper half frequencies, bandwidth and concept of wideband amplifier. The instruction hour is scheduled as 5. The course outcome is enlisted as CO2, that is, after starting this module, the student will be able to analyze the transistor amplifier circuits. The prerequisites for this topic are fundamentals of Kirchhoff's voltage current law, Thevenin's theorem, AC analysis of capacitor, differential equation, BJT fundamentals and matrix. So in part 3, we will learn about the low frequency response of BJT amplifier, Miller capacitance and high frequency response of BJT amplifier. Because in the previous module we had gained some introductory ideas about frequency response, and we had also calculated the mid band gain, input impedance, output impedance, current gain, power gain of a common emitter BJT amplifier. So today in this module I will discuss the response of the BJT amplifier when the signal frequency is low and high. So this is the BJT common emitter amplifier circuit. The capacitors are very important to determine its frequency response. Now first we will discuss the low frequency response of BJT amplifier, which is determined by the Bode plot. So Bode plot is nothing but the frequency response plot, means we are plotting the voltage gain in decibel with respect to the frequency change in the y-axis. Now in this circuit, the three external capacitor, that is Cs, Ce and Cc, they are basically dominant in low frequency analysis because the value of the capacitors are sufficiently high. So in low frequency response, what happens? The frequency being smaller in magnitude, so the reactance offered by these three capacitors are not negligible. Their reactance are very much sensitive towards the signal propagation and amplification. So that's why during the low frequency analysis, these three capacitors are very important and their effect should be considered. So to analyze deeply into the functionalities of these capacitors, so first we have simplified this capacitor and the resistive network like that. First, this capacitor is present, then the resistor is present. So if I have an input signal Vi and the output signal is measured across the resistance R, then V naught can be written as, due to the voltage divider rule, R VI by R plus XC, because V naught equals to appeared across the R. Now V naught can be expressed as R VI root over R square plus XC square, due to this XC is a complex number. So when we are taking the mod value of this V naught, it becomes a square root. For the special case, when XC equals to R, suppose we have considered that R equals to XC, then what will happen? The V naught is equals to R VI root over R square plus XC square is equals to R VI root over R square plus R square. So ultimately it will be reduced to 1 by root 2 VI. So V naught by VI means the voltage gain. So the mod of AV is equals to 1 by root 2, that is 0.707. So it is obtained only during the X equals to R condition. Now if we can transform this modulus value into the decibel value, so it should be written as 20 log base 10 AV. So when we are converting into the 20 log base 10 value, it will become the minus 3 dB. So therefore, we can say that when the XC becomes R, then the gain will be minus 3 dB. Now we are going to this X equals to R condition. So XC means 1 by 2 pi FC. We know. So 1 by 2 pi FC equals to R. So F equals to 1 by 2 pi RC. So that means this frequency is written as F suffix L. F suffix L means the lower cutoff frequency. So we can say that at this particular frequency, the gain of the circuit becomes minus 3 dB. Again, I am reiterating that at lower cutoff frequency means when FL equals to 1 by 2 pi RC, then the voltage gain of this particular circuit becomes minus 3 dB. So when this type of frequency of the signal arises at the BJT, the circuits will experience a gain of minus 3 dB. Now, again, we are going to evaluate the response characteristics. AV, as I have mentioned, V naught by VI. So R by R minus JXC. Why it is minus JXC? Because we know X as the capacitor. So it is equals to 1 by J into XC. So that's why it becomes minus JXC. So it can be written as 1 by 1 minus JXC by R. So decomposing this XC as 1 by omega C, it becomes like that. So omega is converting to 2 pi F. So therefore the AV in terms of a complex quantity, it becomes 1 by 1 minus J, 1 by 2 pi FCR. So if we segregate this F and this 2 pi CR term, it can be written as AV equals to 1 by 1 minus J FL by F, where FL, because already we have reduced the FL equals to 1 by 2 pi RC. So 1 by 2 pi RC, it means the FL. So we can say that 1 by 1 minus J FL by F. So if we plot this AV with respect to F, so it becomes like this. So this plot is called the Bode plot. And at the frequency F equals to FL, the gain will be in 0.707 in magnitude, and this is the highest value 1. Means when the F equals to 0, automatically A becomes maximum. It is a normalized value. So first we shall deduce the lower cutoff frequencies of this BJT common emitter amplifier. First, we are seeing that there are three capacitors. So each capacitor will determine individual lower cutoff frequency. So when I have considered this CS, so this CS will determine first lower cutoff frequency, this CC will determine second lower cutoff frequency, and CE will determine third lower cutoff frequency. So first lower cutoff frequency is equals to that VI input signal, CS is the capacitor and this is the resistance. Now this resistance can be written as Ri, R1 parallel R2 parallel HIE, because when we are seeing that these two resistance are in parallel due to the SI analysis, and within the transistor there is a impedance, input impedance HIE, which is also parallel, because already these concepts were discussed in the previous modules. So the input impedance will be R1 parallel R2 parallel RHIE. So it is considered as this Ri. So applying the voltage divider rule, the VB here the base voltage. So base voltage can be written as Ri into Vi by Ri minus JXCS. So after reorganizing this equation, it becomes VB by Vi equals to 1 by 1 minus JXCS by Ri, where XCS by Ri can be written as 1 by 2 pi FCS into 1 by Ri. So it becomes 1 by 2 pi F RICS. So if we segregate the term F and the 2 pi, so 1 by 2 pi RICS is called the lower cutoff frequency. Just we are going to this AV equals to VB by VI, which is equals to 1 by 1 minus J FLS by F. 1 by 1 minus J FLS by F, because it is J FLS. FLS stands for this 1 by 2 pi RICS, and F is the variable, so it looks like this. So FLS equals to 1 by 2 pi RICS. So at F equals to FLS, if we substitute the value of F equals to FLS, then what is the voltage gain? The voltage gain will be equals to Ri divided by root over Ri square plus XCS square. It becomes 1 by root 2 Vi, just like the previous concept. So when F equals to FLS, VB equals to 1 by root 2 into Vi. If we place F equals to FLS, then it will be 1 1. So now mod AV will be equals to 1 by root over 1 square plus 1. So that means 1 by root 2. Now if we consider it into the decibel, it becomes a minus 3 dB. Same concept, whatever the process you are the following. Now the second lower cutoff frequency, if we see in the circuit, we will observe that the second lower cutoff frequency is determined by this capacitor CC. Now this capacitor is connected to the collector terminal, where another resistance RC is connected, and also there is a collector resistance, that is small r0 or the 1 by HOE, whatever may be, is present. So therefore 1 by HOE and RC is parallel, then this C is connected in series, then the load resistance is connected. So that is our circuit, that the R0 or 1 by HOE, whatever may be, is in parallel with the RC, then the capacitor, and then finally the load resistance. Now what happened? So similarly, this capacitor will determine the second lower cutoff frequency, and the corresponding second lower cutoff frequency expression is 1 by 2 pi R0, capital R0. R0 is the parallel combination of these two resistance, RC and small r0. So R0 plus RL into CC. So this is the second lower cutoff frequency, just deduced in the same way. Now, third lower cutoff frequency. The third lower cutoff frequency is determined by the unbypassed resistor and the bypass capacitor. Now, if we see into the, again we are going to the main circuit, this capacitor, this resistance is connected to the emitter, where emitter is connected to the base. So begin base is connected to R1, R2 and this HIE. So these three resistance will be taken into consideration during the third lower cutoff frequency calculation. So therefore, the third lower cutoff frequency can be determined by using this equivalent circuit. In the equivalent circuit, we will see this is the emitter terminal, it is the resistance RE, which is parallel in connection with the capacitor CE, and this emitter is connected to the base, but we are not considering the base here. Rather, we will transform the input resistance like that, R1 parallel R2 by HFE plus HI into HFE. Because why like this? Because first of all, see this IB current, the base current is flowing through the R1 parallel R2 and this HIE resistance, and this is the emitter current IE, which is flowing through the resistance RE. Now emitter current is of 1 plus HFE or the beta, AC beta, 1 plus HFE terms of this IB. Now as HFE is greater than 1, so we can neglect this one. So we can say that the emitter current will be HFE times of this base current. So therefore, if we consider the loops, this R1, R2 and the HFE as a whole, then we can say that IE by beta current will be flowing through this. So therefore, IB into beta current will be flowing through this. So that thus the resistive network will be transformed like this. So therefore, the total third lower cutoff frequency will be 1 by 2 pi RE into CE. The third lower cutoff frequency will be 1 by 2 pi R small e CE, where RE is the value of this, where RE is the RE parallel with this resistance. So thus we get the three different cutoff frequencies, first, second and third. Now the question is that which is the actual cutoff frequency? I will discuss in the next slides, but before going to this, we just move into the high frequency response. Just keep in mind that after low frequency response, we get three different frequencies at three input terminals. One is the first lower cutoff frequency as the base terminal, second lower cutoff frequency at the collector terminal, and third lower cutoff frequency at the emitter terminal. Now we are going to the high frequency response of the BJT. In high frequency means when the frequency range is 10 kilohertz to 100 kilohertz to 100 megahertz. So in that case, the external capacitor means these capacitors, these three capacitors will be shorted, because the high frequency will make their reactance to be negligible. But at the same time, what will happen, at the same time, some stray parasitic capacitance are active. We had also learned from the hybrid pi model that during the high frequency analysis, the stray capacitance C mu and C pi were active. So the same thing also happened here, that in this case the parasitic capacitance are active. Now during the high frequency response, the resulting RC network will looks like this, because the R will be first position, then capacitor, not first capacitor. Because we will see that when these parasitic capacitance are active, they are basically formed between the terminal to the ground. So that's why the capacitor always placed after the resistor. So V naught will be equals to 1 by due to the voltage divider rule, 1 by j 2 pi fc by 1 by j 2 pi fc plus r into Vi. So Fh and Av can be written as 1 by 1 plus j f by Fh. If I have reorganized this expression, it becomes 1 by 1 plus j f by Fh, where Fh equals to 1 by 2 pi Rc. So if we consider this 1 by 2 pi Rc, then it becomes this expression Av equals to 1 by 1 plus j f by Fh. Just divide. If we place this factor into denominator, it becomes cancelled out and it becomes 1 by 1 plus r by j 2 pi fc, like that. So ultimately it becomes 1 by 1 plus j r 2 pi fc. So after or reorganizing, it becomes looks like this. So in that case, V naught can be written as Xc by Xc plus R. It is another mode of representation into Vi. So taking the modulus value, V naught equals to Xc by root over Xc square plus R square into Vi. When Xc equals to R, automatically the V naught will be 1 by root 2 Vi and Av equals to 0.707. When we are transforming into the decibel, it becomes 20 log base 10.707 minus 3 dB. So if we plot like this expression, if we go to the previous expression 1 by 1 plus j, so it will be just like this, because the denominator is higher, so that's why it becomes decreasing. In the previous case, lower cutoff frequency, the denominator will be lower from 1, because that was 1 by 1 minus j fl by f. So that's why it was increasing in nature. But now, as it is 1 by 1 plus j f by fh, so obviously it will be decreasing in nature. That's why the frequency response will be deteriorating. But at f equals to fh or x equals to what, the gain will be minus 3 dB. Now let us go into the main circuit. If we see carefully into the BJT-C amplifier at high frequency mode, we will observe that these three capacitors are taken to be shorted, but at the same time different capacitors are generated. Just like across the base to ground, there is a capacitor CWI. From base to emitter, there is another capacitor CBE. From base to collector, there is a capacitor CBC. From collector to emitter, another capacitor CCE. And from load to the ground, there is another capacitor CW0. So now we will let us explain the different types of capacitor. The CWI is called input wear capacitor. W stands for wear, means it is a wearing capacitor. Due to this lead, it is a electrical wear, copper wear are connected, so automatically there is a capacitor developed. So similarly, CW0 is the output wearing capacitor, the capacitance. Now, during the SCNL high frequency, from base to emitter, it is a base emitter capacitance CBE, which is also observed in our high frequency hybrid pi model. It was C pi. From base to collector, this is a feedback capacitor CBC, which was also renamed in the hybrid pi model as C mu. And there is an extra capacitor from collector to emitter, it is CCE. So these three capacitors are the stray parasitic capacitance. Now let us have a distinguishment between the stray capacitance and the wearing capacitance. Parasitic capacitance means these capacitance are inbuilt into the transistor fabrication. But as their value is very small, capacitors like picofarad range, so they will be only active during the high frequency signal propagation, and the stray capacitance will be developed only due to the um, connecting wires, because each connecting wires is taken as a transmission line. So these connecting wires, due to this connecting wire, the capacitors are developed. Now these capacitors basically control its high frequency response. Now in our hybrid pi model, I had mentioned that the feedback capacitor will be amplified by some Miller vector, and it will automatically appear across the input as well as the output. So the Miller capacitance at the input will be CMI and the output for CM0 or M0. So CMI will be the modified form of this CBC. CM0 will also be the modified form of the CBC. We will clarify this. So first, let us introduce the Miller capacitance. It's very important. This capacitance is developed only during the high frequency AC analysis. Now, suppose I have a block. This block is an inverting amplifier whose gain is AV equals to V0 by VI. Now in the block, the input signal is VI and the output signal is V0. The input impedance is ZI and it is the input resistance RI, excluding the capacitive effect. This is the feedback path from output to input. In the feedback path, if any capacitor is present, it is a CJ, a CF. F stands for feedback. Suppose any capacitor is present, just like this previous picture. So when this capacitor will be present in the feedback section, the capacitor will be appeared at the input section as well as the output section. So in the input section, it will be appeared like that. There is a resistance Ri because it is the input resistance of the amplifier, and the capacitor will be CMI, which is equals to 1 minus AV into CF, where AV is the voltage gain. CMI equals to 1 minus AV into CF. AV is the voltage gain. Normally AV is written in negative, so CMI will automatically positive because AV is a very high value. So if we take the positive value, then CMI will be negative in nature. That is not true. So when AV is given, so always remember this is only applicable for inverting amplifier. That means whatever the value of AV, always place a negative sign before that. It means that is an inverting amplifier gain. So place that negative value in that position. So negative, negative, positive. So 1 plus AV into CF. CF is the feedback capacitor. Now for the output capacitance, what will happen? Similarly, this feedback capacitor will appear across the output, and the output capacitance will be written as CM0 is equals to 1 minus 1 by AV into CF. Now, as AV is much greater than 1, so we can neglect this term. So CM0 nearly equals to CF. So the conclusion is that for any inverting amplifier, the input capacitance will be increased by the Miller effect capacitance sensitive to the gain of the amplifier and the inter-electrode capacitance between the input and output terminals of the active device, whereas the output capacitance will be reduced. So considering this Miller capacitance, let us entering into our main analysis, that is higher cutoff frequency calculation. It is the BJT as it is a amplifier circuit in the high frequency mode. It is the CI, that is the input capacitance. It is the beta IB, and R0. It is the output at resistance. This is the output capacitance C0. This R1 parallel R2 is the bias resistance, is the source resistance. Let us CI, this capacitor is equals to CWI plus CVE plus CMI. Again, I am going to this. The CI input capacitor is the parallel combination of the CMWI plus CVE plus, because this resistance will be will be parallel with the bypass capacitor, so it will be shorted at that high frequency, so there is no existence of the RE, therefore this capacitor will be grounded. This capacitor also will be grounded, so this will be parallel with this, and the CVC feedback capacitor will be modified by this Miller effect, so it is it will also be the parallel with the CWI. So therefore, the total input capacitance will be CWI plus CVE plus CMI, whereas the C output will also be the parallel combination of the CW naught, that is this capacitor CCCE, and also the Miller effective capacitance at the output. So therefore, the input higher cutoff frequency, if we see into the input section, the input higher cutoff frequency will be 1 by 2 pi RTHI into CI. Where what is RTHI? RTHI is the input Thevenin resistance. So input Thevenin resistance means, so we will just short this voltage source. These three resistance will be parallel. So I can say RTHI equals to RS parallel R1 parallel R2 parallel RI. So just it is put down the value and you can easily get the FHI values. Similarly, CI, as I have already mentioned, CWI plus CBE plus CMI. CMI can be written as 1 minus AV into CBC. Just again have a look. CMI is 1 minus AV CF. Now in this case, what is CF? CF is the CBC. So CMI is nothing equal to 1 minus AV into CBC. So this is the total capacitance placed here. We can get the first higher cutoff frequency. Now for the output side higher cutoff frequency, we see that these three resistance are in parallel. So therefore FH naught equals to 1 by 2 pi RTH naught C naught, where RT naught TH naught is the output side Thevenin resistance. So these are the parallel combinations of this R naught, RC, RL, which is also parallel with this output capacitor. So the cutoff frequency will be 1 by 2 pi RTH naught into C naught, where C naught equals to CW naught plus CCE plus CM naught. CM naught equals to 1 by 1 minus AV into CBC. As 1 minus AV is much more greater than 1, so we can say that C naught equals to CW naught plus CCE plus CBC. Putting down the values and RTH, we can easily get the output side higher cutoff frequency. So during our low frequency response, we get three different frequencies, and at the high frequency response we get two frequencies. Now the confusion arises, which frequency will be the actual lower cutoff and upper cutoff frequency. So the key point for this analysis is highest cutoff frequency among these three different frequencies is the lower cutoff frequency of the BJT amplifier. So during the low frequency response, which is the maximum frequency among the three different frequency, is considered to be the actual lower cutoff frequency. Suppose the first lower cutoff frequency will be 20 Hertz, the second lower cutoff frequency will be 50 Hertz, and the third lower cutoff frequency will be 100 Hertz. So the maximum value will be 100, so that 100 Hertz will be considered as the actual lower cutoff frequency of the BJT amplifier. But in case of higher cutoff frequency analysis, the lowest frequency must be considered as the higher cutoff. Suppose my input higher cutoff frequency will be 1 megahertz and the output higher cutoff frequency will be the 5 megahertz. So what is the lowest value? The lowest value will be the 1 megahertz. So 1 megahertz must be considered as the higher cutoff frequency. Now we just have a look into the frequency response of the RC coupled amplifier. We will see that this plot is called the Bode plot because we are plotting voltage gain with respect to frequency, and we will see that initially first the gain will be increased due to the lower frequency response, and after that it will becomes constant. So this is called the mid-band gain. Mid-band gain means the gain which is constant at the middle frequency. After that it will again decrease due to the high frequency response. This response will be deteriorated due to the parasitic effect capacitance, and this response also deteriorated due to these three CC, CS and CE capacitive effect. So only during the mid frequency response, this capacitor and this capacitor will not affect so much. And we will see that the output power at mid frequency, if we calculate the output power into this region, it is nothing but the V square by R. So V0 square can be written as AV mid into VI because voltage gain into input. Now the voltage gain can be written as AV mid because it is the AV mid, and AV mid was calculated in the previous module, just the voltage gain. It will, so AV mid into VI square by R naught. But at high half power means at this corner frequency, if we calculate, we know this V naught will be the 1 by root 2 times of AV mid into VI, because we have seen that at this particular corner frequency the voltage gain will be 1 by root 2 or 0.707 times of the mid band gain. So that's why I have written 0.707 into AV mid into normal VI square by RI R naught. This 707 square becomes 0.5 and this. Now, if you look this portion into this portion, so these are the same. So we can say that P0 HPF equals to 0.5 into P0 mid. Now, what stands for P0 HPF? So at this particular point, the power will be the half of the mid frequency range. So that's why this power is called the half power frequency. So these frequencies are also called half power frequency, that is HPF. Half power frequency means at this frequency the power is half, the gain is minus 3 dB. So that's why they have the two names. One is half power frequency or minus 3 dB frequency. Sometimes they will call the corner frequency. So many names are there. And the bandwidth are the higher cutoff frequency minus lower cutoff frequency, that is FH minus FL. So it is called the bandwidth. So this is very essential to amplify any signal. If the bandwidth becomes very high, that means any type of signal will be amplified. This is the introductory concept of the wideband amplifier. So wideband amplifier means the bandwidth is very high, so almost all types of signal can be amplified easily. So that's all. Thank you very much to listening my lecture.